Would you want to come and drive a Routemaster bus with me, Pete, and his bus? Well, if you do, then all you need to do is order a single piece of merchandise or more off of my website, and that automatically enters you into the raffle, and the prize is to come and drive a Routemaster bus.
Let's have a go.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Pete and his bus. Now, for those of you that have been watching me for a while, you'll know that I'm sitting inside the original project bus, RML 2730. Now, a lot of you have raised concerns over the fact that I have not done any work to this for a very long time, and you would be correct, I haven't. And this is because I've run into a major problem. Now, this problem's been around for a while. It's not something that's happened overnight, but I just cannot figure a way to solve it. So I thought I'd make this video and explain what has happened and to see if I can somehow come up with a solution. But so many of you are new subscribers, some of you won't have even seen the early days when I started this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go back in time and we're gonna do a big old recap to see how far we've come thus far. Let's do some time traveling. Here we go. Around 6 years ago, I got a tip-off about a Routemaster bus sitting in a yard needing to be sold. I followed it up quickly and I discovered a very poorly looking RML 2730. Having recently completed the bar conversion on my first bus, RML 2355, which was proving to be a success in the industry, I was on a bus high. Also, the values of these vehicles were steadily going up and I felt I could easily risk doing a second one. But at this point, I chose to make a change that would have quite a lasting effect. I decided at the last minute to roll the cameras, and the channel Pete and His Bus was born. However enthusiastically I approached this, I actually knew virtually nothing about 2730 and its history, apart from the fact that it had obviously been sat for a very, very long time. So within my attempt to get her moved, I had no idea what I was in for.
Oh yeah! Whoa! Okay, let's try it again. Oh yeah!
With the mechanicals of the bus actually being better than I thought they would be, I decided to take a massive risk and just simply drive the bus back to the barn. But not before tearing a big hole in the side of it. The neglect and abuse that a Routemaster can take will never cease to amaze me. But now that I've finally got 2730 in the barn, what was going to be my actual plan? With my first bus being very successful as a bar in the events industry, I was simply going to copy-paste to 2730. What's better than having one bus bar? Of course, it's two bus bars. But there was going to be one key difference in the build, and that was the fact the bar element was going to be removable so it could be more multi-functional. Either way, the interior had to go. one of the key features on my first bus bar is the fact that all the side windows downstairs open up so I can serve drinks to the outside. But I was never quite happy with the way I had gone about this. So on 2730 I made sure that I had an improved design which, when the windows were closed, the bus would look completely original. Yeah, baby. Like all route masters, RML 2730 has had a very hardcore life, and for her to look presentable in the events industry, I had to do a lot of bodywork. But the key here was not to do too much, because you don't want to remove that lovely history, soul, and character.
It's a little better.
Hey. Just days before I collected RML 2730, she was sadly vandalized. So this put an extra job on the list. Whilst the world was struggling and getting to grips with COVID, I thought it was a perfect excuse to lock myself in my barn and paint an entire bus by myself. Just before the painting process started, I had a change of heart and I decided to tear apart the entire back end. It had had some damage in the past and was repaired incorrectly. I knew that if I didn't do it now, I would always be looking at it and forever hate it. And especially looking back at it now, it was definitely the right call. It was now time to shift the focus to the inside of the bus. My first port of call was the downstairs ceiling, because with that completed, I could reinstall the lights, which are really useful when doing the internal fit out. But we're now quite a few years into this job, and some major elements in my life have completely changed. This meant that progress was starting to slow down, and in fact, once the lights were in, it all came to a complete stop. And that brings us to today. So let me get straight to the crux of why this project has come grinding to a halt. Well, actually, the problem is you lot. Hear me out, don't worry. 6 years ago, all I was trying to do was increase the scope of my mobile bus bar company. Then at the last minute, I decided to roll the cameras, and a few years down the line, suddenly, I've become Pete in his bus. Now, I'm not complaining about being Pete in his bus, but what has happened by becoming this, a lot of other opportunities have come my way which I've taken on, like all the sponsorship deals that I do with the YouTube channel, the buses I run for Raccoon as advertising vehicles, which is a really nice balance because it's something completely different. Then there is the lovely contract I have with Night Timber as like a brand ambassador and running their vehicle for them. And then there's the actual physicality of running a YouTube channel, which takes up a lot of time and work. And of course, don't forget, I'm still running the original bus bar, RML 2355. So, with all of this going on, I simply don't have a need for a second bus bar. And that is the problem. Even though this bus is the sole start of the entire YouTube channel, I now don't have a need for it. So what are my options? I could sell it, but there are two problems with that. First one is, if I were to sell it, and it is a very, very saleable item, there's plenty of companies out there that want to do advertising stuff with these things, so if I were to sell it, I would literally create my own competition, which is pretty silly. And the second problem is, this bus, like I said, is so part of the channel, I would just have to be Pete. And I don't want to be Pete, I want to be Pete in his bus. So then I hear you say, well, why don't you just build it as a bus bar and you could staff it out? Well, I've been working long enough in the hospitality industry to tell you that when you start doing multiple venues or multiple points of sale, the stress level goes up big time and you don't always necessarily earn more money. So that to me isn't on the cards either. So that's left me with a project I have no use for, but it is the crux of the entire channel. So what do I do? Well, the other day I was driving a long drive up north to pick something up that's very beautiful, which I will reveal on the channel soon. I was driving down the road and I was thinking, if I don't need a bus bar, what do I need? And that is the correct question. As most of you are aware, I have these beautiful barns that house all my lovely things. I also have a wonderful home, but that is just for my family. The only problem is there's a space in between there somewhere which I don't have. Now, running a YouTube channel, there is a lot of behind the scenes activities which you guys would never see. Like, for instance, organizing the merchandise and the competitions, doing editing is a massive job, recording voiceovers, doing speech to camera like I'm doing right now. And what tends to happen is I tend to do these things at the dining table or on the sofa in the lounge. And with a young family, that can sometimes be a little bit tricky. So what I'm going to do to solve this problem and my major what to do with my project bus problem is this. I'm going to create and turn RML 2730 into the Pete and his bus operations hub. And the cool thing about this is I get to continue working on the project with genuine purpose, and also in the future I'll build it in a way that should I suddenly need that bus bar, I can remove the innards and I can turn it into that bar and take it out on the road. How about that, huh? The only problem is I haven't driven it for about 2.5 years. So first of all, we've got to make sure that it's even working. So what does the Pete and his bus hub have inside it? Well, I've had visions of an office area downstairs with a space to store and prepare all the merchandise, a studio upstairs for shooting speech to camera, recording voiceovers, even a chill out area, and some room to store some of my musical instruments. Yes, it really is the space that I don't have at the moment. But don't be mistaken, I do want this to be mobile. It's got to be a fully running and driving bus. So let's get to it right now and see if we can wake up this big old beast. Right, let's see what happens. Oh, ooh, no flag. Okay. The engine doesn't seem to be getting any diesel, so I use the lift pump to try and prime it. Oh, she good. So it works with the easy start, but the second I let off, the engine dies. So I've been messing about with the engine for the last sort of hour, and basically there's a lot of leaks around the lift pump. And now I installed this lift pump a couple of years ago, the last time I got this bus running, and then I did, to be fair, get her running. But a lot of the fuel lines are old garden hose that's gone completely rock solid and it's cracking, so that needs adjusting. The lift pump itself and its reservoir are leaking slightly, so I'm just buttoning up all these air leaks, and then hopefully we'll solve the problem, which is I'm just not getting any fuel out of the main diesel pump. Fingers crossed. I spend the next couple of hours taking the lift pump apart, cleaning it up, putting it back together again, and also removing all the old garden hose and replacing it with proper fuel line. I then attempt to re-prime the engine with the lift pump, and suddenly she gives good resistance and gives that reassuring squelch. Let's have another go. Thankfully, all is well and she runs, but these belts are just dangerous. Annoyingly, the last time the alternator was put in position to put tension on these belts, it was completely bodged into position. Fighting this adjuster. This, by the way, was completely bodged. You can see how this is completely bent. Like someone had just bodged this up, and that's not allowing me to adjust the tautness of the belt. So I'm going to take the whole thing off and see if I can bend it straight and fix it. That is one snapped bolt. But at least we have this component off. The next morning, I spend a bit of time reshaping the adjuster with my vise, and it works remarkably well. And now I'm going to put it all back together with old and new parts combined. And that's how it should sit.
So the thing she needs the most is a massive, massive clean. So let's do that now.
It takes a lot of energy, time and money to complete projects like this. And if there is no clear goal or the driving force behind them doesn't have real reason for them, then these things soon come to a standstill. And even though it took me the whole of 2 seconds to come up with a solution, it has completely re-energized me, and I cannot wait to create a much needed workspace that's going to help me and all my activities thrive in the future. Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your eyes peeled because more videos of Pete and his bus are coming soon.